Hi, this is Tamara at mooglyblog.com, and in this video I'm going to be demonstrating how to crochet the long cat door draft stopper, which is a free pattern you'll find on mooglyblog.com. You'll find the link to this free pattern in the description, or you can go to your favorite search engine and simply type in Mooglyblog long cat door draft stopper, or as many words as it takes for it to pop right up. To make this pattern, I used a USL 8mm crochet hook and approximately 250 yards of Bernat Blanket in the 6 super bulky weight. I used 2 colors, Vapor Gray and Vintage White, but of course you can use whatever colors you like to make your cat your favorite colors. I also used the standard supplies of stitch markers and scissors and a yarn needle, as well as 18mm safety eyes and one 14mm safety nose and one 1-inch button. This pattern has no sewing except for sewing on that button right at the end, so a little bit of sewing thread and needle are needed, but other than that, it's completely seamless. This piece fits a 36-inch door draft stopper, so it is meant to fit over a finished door draft stopper so that it's removable for easy laundering and care. Let's take a closer look at the long cat door draft stopper. The long cat door draft stopper is made from the top down. So we start right here and just work our way all the way down. Of course, right now it's got our actual draft stopper inside it, so it's fully stuffed, but when you're making it, it will be empty. We're going to work back and forth in joined rounds. That means if we look at the back here, if you look very closely, you might be able to spot the seam, but we're going to join and then turn and work back the other direction. That means that every other round we'll be working from the inside of the project, then the outside again. After the first several rounds, you'll want to stop for a second and add your safety eyes and nose. If you'd prefer to embroider those on with all colors of yarn, you absolutely can do that instead. I just like the way these look. They're nice and bright there and just give this such a cute face. Then we start changing colors just a little bit here to create our cat belly. We're going to work this tapestry style, and I'll be demonstrating that here in just a few moments. Then we add our first pair of little legs, and these are made seamlessly. We're not sewing these on, we'll make them on as we stitch. We continue to work back and forth in these joined rounds all the way down, and doing that helps keep our sides of our belly really straight so that we don't get a lean. Of course, we need to go a full 36 inches for the full length of a draft stopper. Then when we come to the end here, we've got 2 more of those little feet. We've got a cute little tail, not too long so it doesn't sweep all over your floor too much, and the whole thing is closed up with this button you can see right here. I just used a 1-inch button, and here I used contrast thread so that you can see it really easily. Blends in well with the yarn color though. It's up to you if you'd like to make that match, blend in with the button. Totally optional. To highlight that, I actually used just a few inches of Bernat Maker right here on the opposite side to create just a little detail, if you will, opposite the button. So on the outside, we have this little asterisk, we'll say, and then here is the button. When we're crocheting the tail, we'll actually make a little hole here. It leaves a little hole right there that we can use as our buttonhole, and we just sew the button, as you can see, to the inside of our tube right here. And then when we stuff it, we just close it right up, and when it's time to launder our cover, we can just unbutton it and take our draft stopper right on out. You can see I've got this one stuffed right here. Is the pretty inside part pretty? Not really, but that's okay. Nobody's going to see that part but you. Let me push this down a little bit. You can see I was weaving in my ends there. And here is the draft stopper style that I use. Now, obviously this pulls in and out, like I said, for laundering. This one did come with 2 little strings, one on each end. So when I stuffed it in, when I put the first end in, I did tie up that string just in a simple overhand knot like this. This made that end a little bit more round and made it easier to stuff in without that string getting caught on anything. The one here at this end I didn't worry about, of course. And basically to get it into the tube, it's kind of like putting a large pillow into a pillowcase. It's essentially the same thing. You just kind of shake it down in there until it's all the way in there, guide it down in as best you can. And then, of course, you can button it all up here at the end, and you'll be all set to use it again. So let's go ahead and get stitching on our draft stopper. To begin your long cat door draft stopper, we're going to start round 1 with color A. So that's going to be your main color. I'm going to use the gray again. We're going to begin by making a magic circle. So I'm going to take the end of my yarn and I'm going to go over the forefinger of my non-hook hand twice towards me, just like that. Then I'm going to insert my hook under both of those loops, grab the loop that's furthest back, and I'll pull it right under that first one. You can see how I've got that loop secured there in my fingers. So I can just pull that back loop through. I'm going to use my other fingers here to help me yarn over and pull that loop through. And now I can start crocheting into this ring that's around my finger. As I do that, I want to make sure that I work into that ring and over that tail to enclose it in each stitch. Then I'll be able to pull on that tail to close up the ring, and that's why we call it the magic ring. So now that I've got it sort of locked together here, I'm going to go back to my instructions and chain 1. And then I'm going to work 10 half double crochets into the ring. So I'll work the first one here while it's still on my finger. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook right through that loop, and you can see the tail. Make sure that gets on top of there as well. Yarn over, pull our loop up and through that ring, yarn over again, and pull through all 3 loops. You can see I pulled my finger out of there with that stitch in there. It holds that loop open nicely. What I like to do, it's optional, but I do like to do it, is pull up my stitch markers at this point and put a stitch marker right in the top of that first stitch. Just helps me count my stitches and keep track, especially when I'm working in joined rounds like this, because we're going to have a slip stitch. We're going to be joining our rounds, and I don't want to accidentally work into that slip stitch as if it were a stitch. So that's our first half double crochet. Now I'm going to put 9 more right into that ring. Again, you just want to make sure that you work over that tail with each stitch. So here's a third one, and I'll just keep making those until I have a total of 10. Alrighty, so now I've got my 10 half double crochets made, so I'm going to take one more stitch marker here. If they want to cooperate, we'll take this one instead. There we go. And put it right in the top of that last half double crochet. Then I can go ahead and make my slip stitch, and I know I'll always know which is my first and last stitch. At this point, you can also use that tail end there to cinch up that hole in the middle if it's still open for you. If you find that it gets to a point where you can't pull anymore without breaking the yarn, then go ahead and stop, and you can use your yarn needle to cinch that up and sew it closed when you go to weave in this end. Remember, you'll want to weave in this end before you get too long into this project because we're making a really long tube, and it's just a lot harder to turn the whole thing wrong side out rather than take care of those things as we go. So with our 10 half double crochets made, I'm going to go ahead and join here with a slip stitch. There we go. Now you'll remember I said we're working in turned rounds, also known as joined rows. That means this is going to be the right side. Another reason this tail is handy, hanging out there. We're now going to, for row 2, turn and work from the wrong side. So I like to chain before I turn, so I'm going to chain 1 and then turn. You can turn and then chain 1, whatever you like to do. And this is, again, where having those stitch markers is going to be really, really helpful, because when you're working in these turned rounds or joined rows, the instinct is to work back right here for that first stitch, but that's your slip stitch. You want to make sure you come all the way over here so that you just work in those 10 stitches, not into the slip stitch that joined your round. So with all that said, let's go back to our instructions here for round 2. You can see we're working from the wrong side. Here's our tail, and we're going to start by working 2 half double crochets in each of the first 2 stitches. So we come right over here to that first marked stitch. Now, if we go in there and that stitch marker is going to be in the way, we can go ahead and take it out because we know where we're going. So we'll put our first one in there, and now I'm going to go ahead and move that stitch marker right up to that first stitch. There we are. So it's marked as well. Put a second half double crochet in that same stitch, and then do the same thing in the next stitch. 1, and then 2. There we are. Pull up a little bit more yarn as needed. Then we have the instruction. It's in parentheses. It says ear bobble, comma, half double crochet. So that means we're going to be working both of those in that next stitch. So what is an ear bobble? This is a very special stitch that I came up with for this pattern. It makes the ears at the top of our little cat. 1 bobble per ear. So it is kind of worked like a standard bobble, But instead of just being made with double crochets or treble crochets, we're going to mix it up a little bit as we go. So let's go ahead and do that here together. It's essentially a double crochet, treble crochet, double crochet together. So 5 stitches that we're going to begin. We yarn over for a double crochet, go into that next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. We've got 2 loops left on the hook. Yarn over again, go back into that same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. You can see we now have 3 loops on the hook. Now I'm going to yarn over twice as for a treble crochet, go into that same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. You can see how that's taller right there. Now you should have 4 loops on your hook, the original one and one from each of those stitches that you've started. Now we're going to go back to doubles. So we yarn over once, go into that same stitch, yarn over and pull up your loop. You can see how I'm working over here to the side here so that my loops don't become big and loose. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Now we've got 5 loops on our hook. We've got 1 more. We want to yarn over, go into that same stitch one more time, yarn over and pull the loop up and through. See how I'm keeping it nice and tight along the side here. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Now we've got 6 loops on our hook. So we want to yarn over and pull through all 6 of those loops. Now as I do that, you can see how already this is pushing back. It's pushing away from me, which is actually the right side of our fabric. And you can see it's already starting to make that shape. We want to encourage that. So you can see as I yarn over and pull this loop through all 6 of these loops, I'm going to be pushing back on that part of the stitch right there. If you need to take your time to get through all those loops, it's fine. Just work them off one at a time if you need to. There we go. And I just pull that through really tightly, and you can see how that makes that pop up right there. Now, that's the ear bobble. We then put a half double crochet right in that same stitch. We go back in that stitch one last time, put a standard half double crochet in there. We want to make sure that half double crochet is kind of tight because that will make that ear bobble pop right out onto the right side of our fabric right there. So with that done, we then continue on around. We now work 2 half double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches. So we're done with that stitch. We go to the next one. So there's 1 and 2 in that stitch, 1 and 2 in the second stitch, 1 and 2 in the third stitch, and then 1. I need to pull some more yarn, don't I? And 2 in the fourth stitch. All right. Now, you should be able to see that this gets us here. About halfway around, we're now opposite that other ear. So just a good way to visually make sure you're on the right path here. After that, 2 half double crochets in each of its next 4 stitches. We again, ear bobble and half double crochet in the next stitch. So we're going to work a second one of those ear bobbles together. There's only the 2 though. So we yarn over, go into that next stitch, yarn over and pull up our loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Stop with 2 loops left on the hook. Yarn over again, go back in that same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through just those first 2 loops. That leaves us with 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over twice. Go into that same stitch, pull up our loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2, yarn over and pull through the first 2 again. That should leave us with 4 loops on our hook. Ran out of yarn again. All right, there we go. All right, now yarn over once, go in that same stitch, pull up our loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Now we've got 5 loops on the hook. If we spread them out there, yarn over once, go right back to that same stitch one more time, yarn over and pull up your loop, yarn over and pull through 2. And now we've got 6 loops on our hook. We can see right there. We want to yarn over and push that body of that stitch sort of back and out as we pull through all those loops. Then half double crochet in that same stitch. Just pull your yarn right over here to the side so you can get around it. Don't try and go over that stitch at all. And with that, we now have made our 2 little ears. So to finish up round 2, all we need to do is work 2 half double crochets in each of the last 2 stitches. Now those ear bobbles can take up a lot of space, so if you feel like you're losing a stitch, go ahead and push it over. It's right there. It got a little bit hidden by all those other stitches. So for me, for a second there, it looked like there was only one more stitch there, which is really handy from my stitch markers right there to help me see it. That one was there. It was just hiding under those other stitches. So if you need to just kind of handle those stitches, push them out of the way, you can do that. So there's 1 and 2 in that stitch. And then we come to our last stitch marked with our stitch marker. So we got 1, and we'll want to put a second one in there. Let's go ahead and get that stitch mark out of the way for a moment. Put our second half double crochet in our last stitch. And that is our last stitch for round 2, so we want to replace that stitch marker again. And then, of course, we can finish up round 2 by joining with a slip stitch. There we are. And then from the wrong side, you can tell with our little tail here, and now our ears are on the right side. So this is what it looks like at the end of round 2 from the wrong side. And this is what it should look like from the right side. And now we've got round 3. To begin round 3, we're going to turn and chain 1, or chain 1 and turn, if you're like me. We're going to be, since we're on an odd numbered row, we're going to be on the right side of our fabric. Remember, our odd numbered rows are on the right side, even numbered rounds are on the wrong side. So for round 3, we're simply going to continue increasing, and this is going to be our last round of increases, unless you want to count those feet. So we're going to begin by working half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Now remember, this is where those stitch markers come in really handy. Don't get fooled by that slip stitch in the middle. Come all the way over to that first marked stitch. That's why, like I say, even after 20 plus years of crocheting, I am still a big fan, bigger than ever, of using those stitch markers. So there's one in the first stitch. We need a half double crochet in the second stitch. And then 2 half double crochets in the stitch after that. 1 and 2. Then we do that repeat again. 1 half double crochet in the stitch after that. 1 half double crochet in the stitch after that. And you'll notice I'm treating that bobble just like any other stitch. The bobble's going this way, but we're working on this part of the stitch. There should be those top 2 loops to work in just like any other stitch. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2 in the next. 1 and 2. 1 in the next stitch. 1 in the next stitch. 2 in the stitch after that. That is our repeat that gets us almost all the way around. So let's see, where are we at? There's 2 in that stitch. You need to come back and check your work. You can say 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, and 2 in the next. Continue that pattern until you get close to the end, and I'll see you when we're just a couple stitches away. All right, so as we follow the pattern for round 3, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, all the way around, we come to the end and there are just 2 stitches left. Not enough for a whole nother repeat. So all we want to do is half double crochet in each of those last 2 stitches. Just 1 and 1. So I'm going to go ahead and move that stitch marker up again. So this should bring us to a total of 26 stitches here for round 3. And after we join here with our slip stitch, we can take a look at the finished round 3. There we are. You can see that is a big enough around to fit over a standard door stopper. Now, if you've got an unusually sized one, of course, you may need to add a few more stitches if it's bigger, or possibly eliminate some stitches if it's smaller. I do have a link to the draft stopper that I used in the free pattern version on mooglyblog.com. And it is, as far as I can tell, a very standard size. So this should be big enough to fit around any draft door stop or door draft stopper that you purchase online or in your local stores, as long as they're sort of that standard size. Now that we've got our size established, rounds 4 through 8 are very simple. We chain 1, turn or turn and chain 1, however you like to do it, and half double crochet in each stitch around. Just put a half double crochet in each stitch, weave to the end, join, and remember to turn at the end of each round. So after the first 8 rounds or so, you're going to want to pause for a moment, weave in that first end, and add your safety eyes and nose or embroider them on if that's what you prefer. You can see here's our little ears that we've made, so we're off to a good start. Like I say, just go ahead and add those things right now while it's a little bit easier. Shown here again are 18mm safety eyes and a 14mm safety nose. You can find links to those in the free pattern on mooglyblog.com for this as well. Then we're going to pick it back up with round 9 and start adding some color. So for round 9, we're bringing in our color B, which for me was a white, so I've brought in the purple background to help make it just a little bit easier to see. So let's come back here, and we know we should be on round 9, which is a right side row or round because it is an odd number. So now we've got our join here, and we're going to turn to work here from the right side of our fabric. I haven't worked full 8 rounds here, so don't count my rounds. This is just our little demo piece. So to begin round 9, I'm going to start, of course, with our chain 1, or you can chain 1 and then turn, whichever you prefer. And then we're going to half double crochet in the first 12 stitches, finishing that last stitch with color B. So you want to make sure to find that end of your second color and have it ready to go. So let's begin. We're going to half double crochet in those first 12 stitches. So I'm going to move that stitch marker right on up here to our new first stitch of the round. There we go. So there's 1, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, halfway there, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then here we are with 12. So we want to stop and think about this one as we go. We're going to start 12 as we normally would, but I'm going to stop right there. Right there is where I would normally yarn over and pull through to finish the stitch. I want to let the gray yarn or our color A just drop right to the back of the fabric now. I'm going to pick up our color B. For me, that's the white. I'm going to come in several inches. I want to leave enough to weave this in later. Just drape that right over my hook and pull that yarn end right through to finish that stitch. So now I've got the new color on my hook, and our last stitch is all finished in its own color. Then I am going to half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, finishing that second one, again with our color A. So that means as I make these 2 stitches, I want to crochet over my color A, trapping it inside each stitch, just like I'm crocheting over the ends, so that it is ready and waiting for me on the other side so I can pick it up again. So let's go ahead and do that together. Now I'm going to let this end here from color B just hang out. That will get woven in when it's all done. I'm not going to worry about that. I am going to pull up my color A end here, the end attached to the skein, and sort of lay it up along that row. Then I'm going to start crocheting here with our color B. So I'm going to yarn over and go to that next stitch for a half double crochet. When I do that, I want to make sure that color B is also laying over the hook, but sort of behind the fabric a little bit. I don't want it to show. Then I'm going to go ahead and make my standard half double crochet like I normally would, and then I go to make my second one. But I know this is the last one in this color. We start out small, so I'm going to need to change back to the gray right away. So I yarn over, go into the next stitch, make sure again that gray is laid over the hook. This is sort of working tapestry style, but we're only doing it here in this belly section. So I yarn over and pull that loop up and through, but now it's time to switch back. So I'm going to drop that the white, drop that to the back, grab the gray, just pull it right from the back of the fabric here, yarn over, and pull through with the gray. Now, as I continue on around, I'm not going to work over the white. I'm going to let the white hang out right here so that when I join and turn and come back this other direction, it's now waiting for me in the right spot. So let's continue on here for round 9. Now that I've switched back to our color A, we're just going to half double crochet in each remaining stitch around. Like I say, make sure now that you're no longer working over that other color. We only work over color A when we're making those color B belly stitches. Otherwise, we do not work over the other color that we're using. So just half double crochet in each remaining stitch, and I'll see you when we're ready for round 10. So here we are, finished with round 9. You should have your face sort of centered above the beginning of the belly right here, with that white end or color B end hanging out, waiting for you to come back to it. And of course, we've come back to our back center seam here where we're doing our joining. So now we're ready for round 10, which will be from the inside because it's an even numbered round. So we'll chain 1 and turn to work from the inside. And for this round, we're going to start by half double crocheting in the first 11 stitches before we make our switch. So we're going to just be gradually widening our belly a little bit here as we go. So let's make our first 11 stitches here. I'm going to make those and you make those, and we'll come back here as we get to number 11. So now I've got those first 10 stitches done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're ready for 11. You can see that puts us a little bit ahead there of our belly. So for 11, we're going to start again with our gray. But now it's time to do that yarn over and pull through. So now what we want to do, because we're working from the inside of our project here, we're going to pull that gray end to the inside. We want to hide it in these next series of stitches. We don't want it to be on the outside of our cat as much as possible. A little peek through is normal, and that's okay. If you think about your cat, they usually have a little bit of, different colored fur peeking through too. So we're going with it. Our white end or our color B end is right there hanging out, right where we need it. So we can just bring that right up, yarn over, and pull through to finish that stitch. We just want to make sure this isn't a big loop here. Give it a little tug back and forth like that if you need to. And then you're ready to start stitching. Now when we stitch, again, we want to make sure to work over the gray, but we want to hold it in front of our stitches because remember, we're working from the inside. So we don't want it to show from the outside. So now we can go ahead and yarn over and go right in that next stitch. Sometimes I catch those ends in there. Doesn't hurt anything. You want to catch that little sort of white yarn over there. So there's one. Now we're going to do a white or color B stitch in each of these color B stitches. So there's our second one. And you'll notice how I'm trapping that gray yarn in there. I'm just holding it right behind the stitch. Try and hide it as much as I can, but I still want it to be trapped in there. So you can see it hanging, peeking out on this side, but hopefully a lot less on that side. Like I say, a little bit is peeking out as normal. So now we've got 3. We need 1 more for this round. Get that, sort of pull it to the back of our stitches here. Oop. Get our end sort of straightened out there. There we go. We've got our gray over. Pull through, but now stop. Bring that white end back to the inside where we're going to want to pick it up for the next round. And then we just sort of pull that gray one back to the outside here. That's how I like to do it anyway. And then I yarn over and pull that color right through. Like just give that a little tug, and there we go. Now we can finish the rest of this round with our gray. Just make sure you don't, again, continue crocheting over the white, because then when we join and come back this direction, it'll be waiting for us to go back in the other direction. So now, as usual, for the rest of this, we just finish it all up with more gray half double crochets. Alrighty, so this is what it should look like at the end of round 10. We just finished working from the inside, so now we're ready to do our chain 1 and turn and work from the outside for round 11. Now, round 11, of course, we're going to have more of our color changes, but this is also the round where we add our front legs. So this round is a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and do it all together. We're going to start by half double crocheting in the first 10 stitches, just as we've been doing. Make sure you always go for that first marked stitch so you don't end up working into the slip stitch. If you're working that slip stitch, your lines are going to be off, your stitch count's going to be off, you're going to end up adding stitches. So there's 1, 2, I'll go through these pretty quickly here as I can, 3. This yarn can take a little bit of hand strength, any bulky yarn can. So if you need to take a break while you're working this pattern and stretch your hands and wrists and your forearms and even your shoulders, that can be a good idea as well. So I'm just getting, now you'll notice too, these yarns like to twist when you're doing this. So every once in a while you can take a moment and sort of twist your project and untwist them. just part of the nature of working with tapestry crochet type stitches. There we go. All right, so where are we at? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need one more. There's 10. And now we're going to begin our first leg. We're still just working in the gray here. We won't change colors until after we get this first leg made. So to make our leg, we're going to start by chaining 4. Let me get that sort of centered here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Then we're going to skip the chain closest to the hook and half double crochet in each remaining chain. So I like to work into the back humps, the underneath humps, if you will, not the back loop, but the underneath hump of each of those chains. I find it gives a cleaner look to that leg. So we're going to skip that chain closest to the hook and half double crochet in each of those 3 remaining chains. So there's 1 and 2. And should be a third one right down here. Oop. Sometimes it doesn't want to cooperate. We'll just take our time, get it in there. There we go, our third chain. Alrighty, so now after we have done that, what we want to do is slip stitch in the side of the 10th half double crochet. So as I was doing this, everything kind of twisted around on me. So we want to straighten it out. Make sure we're working from the right side here. And then this was that 10th half double crochet we made. So we want to come back. This is our leg stitches. These are sort of our row stitches. We don't want to count these except as a leg. We want to count these. So we come back down here to that 10th stitch we made. And what we want to do is we want to work a slip stitch right into the side of it. So I'm just going to go right under the loops here along the side of that stitch. Try and grab a loop from the front and a loop from the back if you can. And just put a slip stitch right there. And that's going to really anchor down that leg there really nicely. It's a really simple leg. It's not fancy, but it just adds so much personality to our little guy right here. So after you've got that slip stitch in there, we are going to half double crochet in the next stitch, finishing with the white. You can tell we're right back here, so we're going to want to do that on this stitch. So we'll yarn over and pull up our loop, drop that gray just as we've been doing, and our white should be down a row, but on this side waiting for us. So we can just yarn over with that white, pull right on through. Now we half double crochet with our white in the next 4 stitches. When we do that, we want to make sure to bring that gray with us so it's waiting for us on the other side. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then on the 4th one, we're going to change colors again. So we stop there. See how it's trapped inside there? We're going to drop that white to the back, pull up the gray, finish the 4th stitch with our gray. There we go. Now, with that belly part finished, then we are going to half double crochet in the next stitch. Again, make sure we're not working over that white. Leave it hanging out there for the next round. Like so. And then, let me check my instructions here. Let's see. Okay, then we are ready to begin our second leg. So we do the same thing. We chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pull up a little bit more yarn as needed. We're going to skip that chain that was closest to our hook and half double crochet in each of those next or remaining 3 chains. 1 and 2 and 3. There we go. And now we want to slip stitch. We want to do the same thing. We're going to slip stitch in the side of that last half double crochet here that was down in the row. So we just come right back here, down here to that last half double crochet made down here, pick up a couple stitches along the side, and slip stitch to anchor down that second foot like so. Then that would officially be the 16th half double crochet sort of that row. So then we can just half double crochet in each of the last stitches and then join and turn just as we've been doing all along. So I'll take just a couple more stitches here and you can see now that's how we add our first round of feet. All right, so now we can chain 1 and turn, or turn and chain 1, and we're ready for round 12. Round 12, we're simply going to be half double crocheting again, but now we need to make sure to push those feet to the outside. So let's do some of that together. Like I say, we just half double crochet in each stitch around for the first it would be the first 11 stitches, finishing that 11th stitch with our color B again. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See, this is where it's going to start getting tricky. And 10. But now we don't want to work up those feet. We're just going to push the feet right to the outside. So there was 10. Worked into that stitch right there. So for 11, we're just going to push that foot right to the other side and come to that next stitch right here. Be right on the other side of the white. So with 11, we start our stitch. We drop our gray to the inside, pull up the white, yarn over with the white, and pull through to finish that stitch. So there might be just a little gap there under the leg, but that will be pretty well hidden. So then we just half double crochet in these next 4 stitches with our white. So again, we want to make sure to bring the gray along for the ride. And if you don't want to enclose it in every stitch, if you want to enclose it in every other stitch, skip it like this, there's one, and then bring it back for the other one, you can. It's up to you. The main thing is to bring it along to the other side so it's there when we need it for the next round. So when we come to that last one, we again drop our white here to the inside, bring our gray up, sort of give that a little tug, straighten those out if you need to. There we are. And then we can go back to half double crocheting with the gray. Remember, we'll have one more on this side here. Then push that foot right out of the way, come to the other side. And then just continue to half double crochet around. So with this round, you should be back to just having 26 stitches in each round. Alrighty, so this is what it should look like at the end of round 12. We've got our feet pushed here to the outside. We would have a face. And come back here and get a better view of it. We've got our face, we've got our belly started, and we're up through here. So rounds 13 and 14 are the same thing, but we just expand out. So we half double crochet in the first 10 before we do our color change. So then we've got 6 of the white or color B, 6 of the white of color B. Then with round 15, we expand out again to make the belly as wide as it can be. But otherwise, it's just rounds back and forth of half double crochet. We're changing color. We're doing our slip stitch join in the back and then turning to work back and forth in opposite directions. And again, turning our rounds or working in joined rounds, turned rows, whatever you want to call them, is really important for this pattern rather than working in a spiral because it's going to keep our belly lined up, it's going to keep our seam in the back straight, and it's going to allow us to make things like these baubles that pop out really beautifully on the wrong side of the fabric. So as we continue on down, we're going to continue working rounds 15 through 56, basically. All the same, all the way down to here, just back and forth. Round 57 and round 58, we just start decreasing a little bit again to bring that white back down to the center, and then we finish it off with some more feet and a tail. So let's jump back in as we come to the end of our door draft stopper. Alrighty, so on our tiny little sample here, I just finished working round 59. We half double crocheted in the first 12 stitches, finishing with color B. With color B, we half double crocheted in 2, finished with color A each remaining stitch, and then finally we broke color B. So at this point, you'd want to go ahead and weave in this end as well. And now we're only back to working with color A for round 60. In round 60, we're going to add our bottom set of legs. So you'll notice that before, when we did a set of legs, we were on an odd numbered row. This time we're going to be on an even numbered row so that the legs actually face the opposite direction. You can see here how they're facing up towards the ears. This next set are going to face down towards the tail. So we again want to chain 1 and turn, or turn and chain 1. We want to make sure we're working from the inside of the fabric since it's an even numbered round. And we're going to half double crochet in the first 10 stitches again. Got to get us back to the front of the cat where those legs would be, or belly, I guess. More of a belly up cat, but for the purposes of this project, we'll say the front. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oop, couldn't see it, but I could feel I missed a strand on there. So let me try that again. 4. I want to make sure we're working through both of those top 2 loops for this pattern. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I believe that's 10. Let's double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. Alrighty. Now we begin that first leg. Same thing. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip the chain closest to our hook and half double crochet in the underneath hump of each remaining chain. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Then I want to slip stitch in the side of that last half double crochet of the round here, just to anchor that down. There we are. And then, let me check my instructions here. We half double crochet in the next 6 stitches. So we come right to that next one. So there's 1, 2. We don't have to worry about changing colors or anything for this round. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we begin our second leg. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip the chain closest to our hook, half double crochet in each remaining chain. 1. Oop, get in there. There we go. 2. And 3. There we are. Then we want to, of course, slip stitch in the side of that last half double crochet of the round there. There we go. And then simply half double crochet in each remaining stitch around. Pretty easy. There we go. Get another 1 or 2 in here so you can see how that looks. We're almost at the end. Every time I come to an end of one of these turned rounds or joined rows, I just want to appreciate one more time how handy it is having that stitch marker right there, because you can see the way the row is constructed. It would be so easy to think that stitch already has been worked into. So it is just a real lifesaver and has saved me so much time, even when they don't want to open right away. There we go. So now we have finished up that round. We put that stitch marker right back. I'll slip stitch here in a moment, but we can come back here and see how now those feet face the opposite direction. It's a lot easier to see here when they're that close to each other. So then we can join and turn, and we'll be ready for round 61, which is our last round where we make our tail. So for our last round, round 61, we're back to working from the right side of the fabric, and we're going to simply chain 1 and half double crochet in each stitch around until we get to the very end. But again, we want to make sure to push those feet to the outside. So as we come up on them here, you can see this would be our last stitch of this round. And then I just want to skip that foot, push it all out of the way, but keep it on the outside of the fabric. We don't want to push it back here because then the feet will be on the inside. We want the feet to be on the outside. So we just want to really look at our fabric, find that next stitch on the other side of the foot. Just keep it right in front of our fabric there. And again, continue to half double crochet around. If you're getting a little lost in those stitches, you can, count your stitches. Again, you should have a total of 26. If you are if you know you're going to have trouble when you make the foot round, put a little stitch marker in the last half double crochet before you make the foot and the first half double crochet after you make the foot. And that will also help you keep track of those stitches a little easier if you're having trouble reading them just looking at them. So as we come up to our other foot here, same thing. I'm going to work in that last stitch beforehand and then just push it right to the front out of the way. Take a moment, find that next stitch where I want to put my hook and continue to half double crochet all the way around. But when you make that last stitch, don't break your yarn. We make our tail right at the very end. Alrighty, so I've half double crocheted in each stitch around, but I haven't done the slip stitch because now I'm ready to make the tail. Now this is a short, slightly curvy tail, and it's of course just for fun. So if you'd like to make it longer or shorter or leave it off altogether, it's completely up to you. What we're going to do though to make this one is to chain 10. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to skip the half double crochet closest to the hook, go right to the next one there, and half double crochet in these next 4. So there's 1. And again, I like to work into that underneath hump. 2, 3, and 4. Get that under there. There we go. And then we come back to our instructions and we want to work 2 half double crochets in the next chain. Again, this is just to give it a little bit of life and a little bit of a curve here. So we put 2 half double crochets in that stitch. Creates a little bit of a curve in the tail that way. Then we half double crochet in the next 2 stitches, or the next 2 chains. So there's 1 and 2. And then we're going to half double crochet 2 together in those last 2 chains right there. Again, just to kind of create a curve in the opposite direction. So there's lots of different ways to half double crochet 2 together. We'll do a simple one here. We'll yarn over, go into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, go into the next chain, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through all the loops. That is probably the most standard way, but of course, if you've got a favorite way, you can use that instead. After we've got that half double crochet 2 together, we would normally join with a slip stitch, but I prefer to cut our yarn and use a seamless join. So to do that, after we cut our yarn, we simply pull up on our yarn tail here. You can see the tail of our cat is hanging loose because our tail is not yet sewn down. So I want to take a yarn needle and put that end right on my yarn needle. I find with the Bernat Blanket, sometimes it takes a couple tries, but you just want to squish it right on through as best you can. There we go. And then we're going to take that and we're just going to sew it right down to that first marked stitch. We can go ahead and move that stitch marker out of the way now. We're all done with it. And I just go right under those top 2 loops with my needle. There we go. Same place I would have put my hook. You can see how that's coming out of my last stitch. I'm going to pull it down tight and just go right back into that stitch right there. There we go. And then I can just weave in that end. But one thing I want to make sure I don't do is close up this hole right here. You can see that leaves a little bit of a hole right there. When we make that half double crochet 2 together and then just sew down without doing that slip stitch back in the side like we did for the feet, it leaves a hole right there. But that is a very intentional hole in this place, or in this case rather. So do not cinch that up as you weave in this end. Just go ahead and take that end off in the opposite direction. And you can take your time and weave that in. Now, the reason we want to leave that hole right there is because it's going to be the hole for our button. You might recall I showed you that earlier in the video. We're going to take our button and we're going to sew it right to the inside. Just grab the stitch marker as an example, right to the front inside of our cover here. So then you can send it right through that hole to seal the whole thing up. No pun intended. Of course, if you want to, you can take a little bit of black worsted weight yarn or whatever color of your choice and add a little asterisk there for a cheeky little detail. Totally up to you. But after that, you can simply weave in any remaining ends and stuff in your door draft stopper and you'll be all set. And that's how to crochet the Long Cat Door Draft Stopper. It's a long name, but it's a handy project and sure to put a smile on your face this winter. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.